So the question of the day, and it's a legitimate question, and it's a fair question. Someone asked, if you have a Hasselblad or Leica, why would you be shooting with the Fuji X Pro 3? The number one reason is because the damn thing is so much fun. So enjoyable. It's lightweight. I love the little lenses. I do love the new lenses, the 1.4s, but man, when you're just shooting a regular consumer client or just for fun, this is just a blast. I can honestly get more in focus photos with my Leica and manual focusing just because I'm used to it, and I enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with the focus system, but when I put this in my hand and have the thought process of, it's out of focus and I really don't have to do anything, I get a little sloppy. I'll just point and shoot, rather than still taking my time and doing it. Obviously, a Sony is going to be better focusing this. They're not claiming to be better than Sony. But this sensor, these crons, I love the pairing. I love the image quality. I love the form factor of this. The second reason is this is so lightweight and easy to carry with me as a second camera. So if I'm shooting a big event, I'll have this on my shoulder. It's like it's not even there. I do use it, but barely. But it's there in case something happens. If the camera goes down, there's an issue, there's an error, there's battery, whatever the scenario is, I have this at my side to do it. And it's wonderful for that. So, I shell a consumer or consumer client. You have to remember that, most of my videos are showing higher end equipment. It just doesn't matter though. This is not a gear central channel, if you will. If I mean that way, people call me out on it. But I'm hoping just to provide some information and some good advice on shooting, on some of the equipment I use, in real world, not test products. I'm going to test some products. I just got one yesterday that I will never show because it was complete and total crap. Here, do this and we'll give you this. I didn't give a shit about the money, and it was a lot. It's just like, no, it's horrible. And no, I won't tell you what it is. Common sense will tell you what it is when you see it. But anyway, so this, I did a shoot with a consumer. When I do commercial work, I have to have specific gear. There's no ifs or buts about that. It's just the way it is. My end client is the one who has the say on what I use and how I use it. You can't get away from that. But for consumers, if I'm using this or the Leica or the Hasselblad, 90% of the time they're not going to know the difference. I'm just being honest. They just don't. So this sensor versus the Hasselblad, no, there's no comparison. It's like, I see all these comparisons on YouTube with an iPhone versus, just, let's not be stupid. It's just common sense. But for me, that blurry background that everybody has to have, I don't care about it. So this is fantastic for me. And, the form factor, the lenses, and the plus side of this is, I agree that the 40 megapixels in the new Fujis are probably fantastic, but they do need those new lenses. But if I want something small and lightweight to throw on my shoulder as a second, or just to shoot a consumer and enjoy the shoot, this is best for me. And these lenses are cheap now because nobody wants them because they want the bigger ones. But these lenses work great on this sensor. There's a positive to this no matter what you look at. I'm not a Fuji channel or a Hasselblad channel or a Leica channel, although I really love Leica. And the Hasselblad. But I love shooting this as well. So anyway, now I'm going to get back to the shoot. I did a shoot with this. I used a 35 cron this time. That's it, nothing else. And then I used a handheld little C1 Plus flash by Profoto. You can use anything. I noticed someone saying, hey, I have the 350. I have that too, and I use it on the Hasselblad. People are like, you use a Godox 350 on the Hasselblad? Yes, it works great. It's fantastic. Anyway, So I put it in TTL and did nothing else, and used the 35 Fuji F2, the one that's on here. And God, it was just a fun shoot, relaxing. The photos came out great. And then at the very end, I switched to the A10 just to see how this TTL is going to do. TTL with this camera and Profoto is really good. I know they're very expensive, I realize that, but I just love the A10s. And I do like the A2. I don't think it's as powerful as the A10s, but I do like the frosted lens that they have on it. But A10s for me are easy to handhold when I'm shooting like this. They just work better for me. And the output and the TTL actually is really good. I did have some misses, and like I did a job last night in Jersey City where it was at a racetrack, and it was dark, and I used the Leica, and the first thing I did is I take a picture and I look at it and go, oh crap, and I just had it set up wrong. You have to test your TTL if you're going to use TTL with the different settings, because I had it on center weighted versus highlight, and I think I restricted myself to 800 ISO versus 1600. So it was a dark environment and plenty of lights. So I just had to make minor adjustments, and then the TTL was fantastic. So a lot of times the TTL isn't good because the product sucks, but the other times it's because we suck. So we have to trial and error this stuff before we go out, and make sure you check your settings before you shoot. Anyway, with the Fuji, I pretty much just put it on and just shot, and it worked. So I was really happy with it. But yeah, I'm sure there's an X Pro 4 coming out, but I promise you, if you can find one that's decent, in decent condition, and I'm sure this is going to change as soon as the X Pro 4 is announced, like the prices are going to drop. But man, the X Pro 3, I still love to this day. I love the sensor, this 26 megapixel with the lenses, and now the TTL flash with the Profoto. It came out really good. Anyway, I'll get to the shoot instead of rambling on, so people have to tell you where to go to skip all this crap. But anyway, enjoy the shoot. If you have any questions, leave them below. But just a fun shoot with a handheld flash, which I think is the point of this, that you can get really good photos without big modifiers and all that kind of stuff and big expensive flashes. I know Profoto is expensive. I'm just saying you can use a little handheld 350 Godox or whatever and do the same thing. But I like that little button. Connect. Here's the shoot. I'm shutting up now.
Now, I realize this is about the X Pro 3 and the 35mm lens. And, I'm again, from past, I'm really not a pixel peeper with lenses or cameras or anything. Except for the commercial clients where I kind of have to be. And using the X Pro 3 with the C1 Plus, this little pocket, very dim LED, but it flashes, so it's kind of cool, and it gives a little pop in the face, so it works. And a couple of years ago, I actually took this combination with that 30mm lens to a wedding and shot an entire wedding with this thing. I wasn't the main photographer, I was just a guest, but they wanted me to shoot, just to have some extra photos, and no problem with it whatsoever. They ended up using all my photos for their book because they liked the look that the Fuji X Pro 3 35mm and this little flash gave. It was higher ISOs, it was a bit noisy, they liked it. They thought it looked more like film, and it wasn't so sterile. And believe me, the main photographer's photos were absolutely beautiful, but they were very, very sterile. Clean, perfect photos like you would get for a commercial shoot. That's not what they wanted. So, I'm not putting his work down in any way. I'm just saying, sometimes this is the look that you want. And when I'm using the X Pro 3, this is absolutely the look that I want. I love this combo. For me, if I had a choice between this little C1 Plus and a strobe, I'm going to take the strobe every time. A smaller strobe, obviously. Using like the Godox 350 with this would be fantastic on remote. Now, I'm just changing the color temperature of this light to get it up as high as I can, color temperature-wise, because of those windows. It still didn't go up as much as it needed to, but it's working. You'll see that her skin is still a little on the orange side versus the window light coming in. there's not much you can do about that, because this light only goes so far. And throwing a filter on it would work, obviously, but it's going to dim this light even more, which this light doesn't have that much power to begin with. So I want to not dim it as much as possible. Anyway, the photos are a lot nicer in the studio, of course, because I have the studio light, window light coming in, and this is just adding on that little bit of extra pop. Even at this distance, it works. Now, don't go out and buy this and expect perfect images or this thing to do magic. It doesn't. It's just a minor fill light, and it works for that perfectly. Now, switching to the A10, the speed light, you're going to see an instant difference in the quality. The quality of the light, the quality of the shadows, everything's more defined. It's, light is everything in photography. And, trying to put a C1 Plus against a speed light, any speed light, doesn't have to be the Profoto A10. I'm talking any speed light. You're not going to, it's just no comparison. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the photos. Here's one more pixel peep for you. Love this image quality. I think it's wonderful. Thanks for watching.